Look at this. I never thought I would say it, AJ, but I mean, Ole Miss football is on fire right now. Not only with a bowl game against Penn State, do they have a chance to win a New Year's Six Bowl, win 11 games the first time in school history, but there is no one dominating the transfer portal like the Ole Miss Rebels right now. They got the number 1 ranked linebacker, Chris Paul Jr., number 2 edge, number 2 wide receiver, Juice Wells. More on him in a second. Interior offensive lineman, a few safeties, a great corner, and then maybe the crown jewel of the portal thus far, Princely Umanme. Oh my God, dude! I practiced this so many times before the show. I'm so mad. Princely Umanme-Mayelen. Princely Umanme-Mayelen. Number 1, this is a guy, 7.5 sacks, 11.5 TFLs, coming over from Florida, and reportedly they're in the lead for Walter Nolan. And they got Judkins returning, most likely Dart's returning. I mean, AJ, this sounds crazy, but like going into next season, the expectation for Ole Miss should be a college football playoff team.
Well, 100%. I mean, but listen, if it was the 12-team deal this year, I mean, they'd be a college football playoff team as well. So on top of that, like if it was, 4 next year, 4 teams again, then like, all right, let's build up the hype a little more. Yes, with this much talent coming in from the transfer portal, like they should definitely make it. Like Lane should have no excuses. You got A&M who's going to have a new coach. They're struggling. Like you have all the hype behind you and building, especially if you win this bowl game against Penn State, you're going to have a ton of hype behind you. Your recruiting is going to take off from the portal standpoint, from high school standpoint. So this is Lane's time, right, to take advantage of it and make something out of all these transfers they're getting.
Well, kind of a rough estimate in my book, if you just say, okay, how many SEC teams will make a 12-team playoff every single year? I think it's going to be about 4, right? Some years it'll be 5. The odd year it might be 3. And that's kind of hard to fathom. And so it's like, okay, well, who's going to be in that top 4? And it kind of feels like Texas, Georgia, Alabama for sure. And then it's like, okay, can Ole Miss emerge from everybody else? Will they beat Oklahoma? Can they beat LSU? And if we look at their schedule like we did last week, they actually have a pretty favorable schedule. Where does Ole Miss traditionally struggle? On the defensive side of the ball. Well, where are the majority of these guys coming from? 7 to 9 transfers right now. On the defensive side of the ball, they pay Pete Golden $2 million a year. He has to get it done. And then we mentioned Juice Wells coming over offensively. This is a cat who just a couple of years ago was second in the SEC in receiving. He now teams up with one of the top receivers in Trey Harris. That might be the best duo in the conference. Like I said, you have Quinshon Judkins returning. No excuses. And you know what's crazy, AJ? It's like, how is Ole Miss doing this? From what I understand, talking to people who are very educated in the NIL world, Ole Miss has huge grassroots buy-in right now, right? And we all know that a lot of Ole Miss attendees were kind of wealthy to begin with when they went to school there. And it looks like now they're all believing that, no, if we commit now, like if we throw money in now, we can actually maybe make a run at this thing. And what I do agree with Lane Kiffin on, he seems to say, okay, with all this NIL money I have, instead of going after high school recruits, unknown commodities, I'm gonna go after known commodities. I'm gonna go after players that I've seen play on this level and already have at least some idea of what they can do.
100%. Like the biggest challenge for Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin, getting all these big time guys in, right? Like top players from all over the country, from a college level, is getting them to buy in to the process that he's created, that he has in that program, and getting them to buy in quick, right? It's going to be a quick turnaround. And before you know it, the next year's season's going to be here. And will they hit the ground running from week 1? And will they have that unity as a team? Will they have that brotherhood? Or is it still going to be a work in progress? And because all these guys are not going to be great locker room guys for you, right? You're going to have some bad apples. It's just part of football. It's part of the locker room. So can you keep these guys from being such a bad apple to where it ruins everybody else? And then it just goes, throughout the team with guys that, You haven't had this many transfers before, and it's been guys that have been brought up through this program and through the university that you've kind of built and mentored along the way. So that's going to be the biggest challenge for Lane.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very salient point. I mean, you just look at LSU 2 years ago, they bring in a whole new secondary and basically everyone hits, right? Good leaders, veteran guys, it all works. And they end up upsetting Alabama, win the West. This last year, yeah, they get an all SEC performer, or excuse me, an all ACC performer in Deuce Chestnut. They get a former 5-star guy in Denver Harris, but bad apples, both off the team a couple of games in, and all of a sudden you're scrambling. Still that all that said, I don't know if I've ever seen a better time in my adult life to be an Ole Miss fan. Like, I don't care. They've had some good teams. I think this is the hottest the brand has ever been.